conversation, that discussion. I'm going to try and see whether Doug is now available. I can see that we've got some of his runners available with us. So let me just see where Doug is. What I will do is I will bring on a couple of the runners while we wait for Doug. I can see Chloe there, so I'm going to bring Chloe in, and I can also see Richard. So I'm bringing Richard in and onto the floor.
Good morning.
I can also see Kai as well, so we'll bring Kai in. So we just need to see Doug, and there's Doug as well. So I'm going to bring Doug in as well, everyone. Douglas, here we go. Doug,
good morning.
Over to you. Good morning. First,
we all doing
Doug,
well. Can you hear me?
Who have you got with you, Doug?
All right, so we've got different runners this time. We've got Mark. Go on, Mark, come say hello.
Hey, everyone.
And we've got Alan. Go on, Alan.
Hello.
And we've got Dom again. Are you coming out?
Oh, they've seen too much, haven't
they? Dom's getting too shy here.
And then you've obviously got some great virtual runners with you as well, Douglas. Chloe, where are you at the minute?
I am in sunny Bristol. I don't know if you can see, but it's an absolutely beautiful morning. So looking lovely.
And Richard, how about yourself?
Well, it's also a very beautiful morning from the Netherlands, in the northern part of the Netherlands. So I'm really hoping for a nice run. And Doug, you are really insane with doing all those 5Ks. But
thank you, Richard.
Yes.
And how about Kai? How about yourself?
Well, same blue sky over here in Germany this morning, and looking forward to my morning run along the Rhine.
Yeah, Doug, I apologize.
I wonder why you're all in shadow, because nobody sees your face.
Yeah, it's still dark here in the UK.
Your face turned already grey, I think.
It's where he's starting off from. Obviously, he's got to have his iPad available somewhere.
Absolutely. But you guys, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. Everyone's been so kind. And Kai, I apologize. I've got my Eufy T-shirt here, but I haven't got it on yet. So it's the next one I'm going to wear.
Doug, how are you feeling?
Not too bad. I mean, this is going to be number 16. So I'm down into single figures now.
Yeah.
In terms of completing.
Yeah, that's true. Good attitude.
So I'm looking at it positively. I'm not looking forward to the hotter weather coming in a couple of hours.
No.
It's going to be hot. So.
Well, hang in there.
I will do. I've got some.
I think what you're all proving. Yeah, what you're all proving is this international community that we have in the events industry. You know, everyone's getting bored. Kai, some great content earlier on in the event that you were sharing when you were on screen. So I appreciate the time that you spent on that, and then you're jumping back on again to have a run now. So yeah, I can only praise everyone for what they're doing. The money's raised so far has already smashed the original target. So all I can say to people is try and find a way to put your pocket, contribute what you can. Doesn't have to be much. If you can't afford much, just drop something in. You don't really understand the real impact that you can make by even just that pound, that euro donation goes a long way.
Yeah. Well, thanks, guys. Have a great run, and I'll see you all soon. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Okay. Good luck, everyone.
Bye. Good run, good fun, everyone.
Thank you.
Right. Well, as they go off on their run, I'm going to begin to bring in our next guests, who we have in the waiting room. So I'm going to bring them all in, and then we will ask Ashley to do the introductions. So here we go. If I go through. Right. Have we got everyone? Ashley, is everyone who we expected?
They are indeed. Thanks, Jack. Really good session as well. Really, really good. And well done to all the runners. Fantastic job they're doing. So just very briefly, I'm Ashley Roberts, General Manager of Oman Expo, and we're going to be doing a session. I'll give the introduction to the speakers that very kindly joined us this morning, talking about events going live in the Middle East. And we've had quite a lot of large-scale events going live in recent. So quite a lot of exciting insights and success stories in recent to talk about. I guess a big, thank you to, or congratulations to Doug, MT, the Group CEO of Tarsus Group, who's everyone I'm sure is aware is doing a phenomenal job of running 5 kilometers every hour for 24 hours. Even the thought of that actually makes me sound quite tired. And everyone that's joining him. So massive congratulations to them. Last time I checked, it was not far off approaching $29,000 that was raised. I think, Jack, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's already smashed the original target.
Yeah, original target was $24,000. So we've raised the bar again. We're now going for $34,000. And as I just said to the runners there, people really don't understand the impact even a small donation will make. When we had the charities on yesterday, when they were doing a quick introduction, they were saying, unfortunately, obviously for confidentiality reasons, they can't share the individuals who are receiving it. But they said that the warmth and the heartfelt nature of those contributions, being able to support our peers and supporting our peers through difficult times to ensure that we're in a good place to keep moving forward. That's one thing our industry does. We don't stop. We're always looking to enhance the experience for our customers, our clients, and we need those individuals to stay with us on that journey. So the charities are doing a fantastic job to support those most at need. And yet, every small donation goes a long way. So I really do hope that people will join us in that process of putting the hand in the kit, giving what they can, and enjoying the content. I'm going to really look forward to this next session. What I am actually going to do, so it keeps you in focus, I'm going to step back and go sit in the green room. I'll join you again when I need to. If the conversation is flowing too well and I need to draw you back in to give you a sort of a 5-minute warning, I'll jump back on screen and say that. I'll just keep an eye on any chat that's going on. But guests, enjoy the session, and I look forward to hearing what you're going to be discussing.
Thanks, Jack. And as Jack was saying, 2 really important industry charities, so Eventwell and the Meeting Industry Fund. And also there's a third charity, a very, very important charity, the Indian Red Cross Society. So please keep donating. People such as Rachel Wimberley, Jack Saward, and Dan Arslan, and everyone that's been involved in this, supporting Doug and all of those that are taking part. Massive congratulations, keep those donations coming. So without further ado, an introductions to those esteemed industry colleagues that have kindly joined this morning. And I think a polite way to do it is to start with ladies first. So Gulsum, could you kindly introduce yourself, so who you are, who you work for, and briefly a little bit about you?
Thank you, Ashley. Good morning to everyone. So actually, it's also my pleasure to be part of this great initiative. So it's a great effort from everyone. So I'm glad to be part of it this morning. I'm Gulsum Arslan, as I work for Dubai World Trade Center. I'm in charge of the food portfolio, the sector development and the marketing of the food portfolio and its events. I'm been, I think, in the food industry for about 21 years by now. So I've been in charge of like many multinational food companies before joining 5 years back to Dubai World Trade Center. And I'm now in the event side and organizing food events for all the community. So thanks again.
Brilliant, thanks, Gulsum. And Graham, if I could pass it across to you. So a bit of a quick introduction from yourself, please.
Sure. Hi, I'm Graham Stephenson. I work as the Director of Sales at Abu Dhabi National Exhibition Centre. I've been in the industry, as Jack mentioned, this wonderful community that we're all part of for the last 25 years now. I'm very, very guilty. I feel very guilty watching all of the runners set off on the next 5K while I'm sitting here in my air-conditioned office. The best I could do is try and look smart by putting a tie on. So I hope that's my small contribution. But yeah, I've worked for venues for the last 25 years and moved out to the Middle East, to Abu Dhabi, with my family just about 5 years ago.
Brilliant, thanks, Graham. And Wilbert, if you could give us a quick introduction of yourself, please.
Yes, hi, I'm Wilbert. I don't think we agreed on the dress code, so I put a t-shirt on because I thought this is a sporty event. So yeah, but that's good. We are a mixed panel, which is great, I guess. So yeah, I'm Wilbert from Infosalon. So I'm the group managing director. I look after our business in Middle East, North Africa, Far East, Southeast Asia, and Australia. I'm based in Dubai. I'm in the event industry for 21 years. So Gulsum, you're 21 in food. I'm in events. And I started with jaarbeurs in Holland. I'm from the Netherlands. Then I worked in China a couple of years. And since 2007 in Middle East, worked for the likes of Deutsche Messe, Messe Frankfurt, and since 9 years with Infosalons. So yeah, we do event registration. I think that's where we're most known for. As you might have seen at UFI events, we are data intelligence partners. So yeah, we also look after data and make the insights out of those data better for event organizers.
Brilliant. Thanks, Wilbert. And thank you very much, everyone, for the introductions. We'll keep the conversation very fluid. If you want to dip in to contribute or challenge what anyone else is saying, please do. I encourage that. Wilbert, I'm going to throw the first, not question, but first thing to you. So, I mean, in your role that is quite a big role that not just spans the Middle East, but also China as well, you've mentioned. We're going to try and focus on the Middle East here. And I think, you know, in the Middle East, we've got a lot of very positive news to talk about where events are already coming back. And I think, you know, we'll come on to this later in the discussion, but you've got Dubai Expo coming up starting in October. So there's going to be really even more international focus, global focus on the UAE than we do and the region as a whole. But Wilbert, I mean, do you want to talk about some of the events that you've worked on this year already?
Yeah, so we've been fortunate to be involved in most of the shows in Dubai, because most of the shows have been happening in Dubai. I would call it, it's still in the sporty terms, we might be in pole position in Middle East from that perspective. So yeah, it started with Dubai World Trade Center opening up the AI conference in July. And I think a quarter of the audience were event organizers because we were very keen to see what Trade Center could pull off. And I think it was on one hand a test event, on the other hand it was a real event with speakers about AI, prominent speakers actually, and prominent speakers on screen from the US even, and local based speakers. I forgot the numbers, but it was full house. I guess that was 1,000 plus attendees. Was really good, and that boosted confidence. That boosted confidence for Dubai World Trade Center itself, because GITEX was following in December, and that was full on. And I would say that was a real good, strong commercial event. It was busier than I expected. I think busier than everyone expected. And then, of course, was what's going to happen with Go Food, because you could argue GITEX is still a little bit government-driven, quite some government pavilions, and also a lot of government attendees, but still minority, still was commercial event. But then all pressure, I guess, on Go Food to deliver the next flagship show. And I think Gulsum and team did a fantastic job. It was busy. I even thought on day one, might be too busy, because we also still need our physical distance. and Trade Center put straight away in marshals, made sure that, hey, we have, this is a two-way aisles, this is one-way aisle, the main corridors. You know, Go Food is a very big show, very busy. I sometimes say, I think in one of the panels said, arguably too busy. But it was a really strong event. And then in Adnec, IDEX, and I guess Ray will talk about that a bit more, the defense show, also very strong. And I must say those events really boosted UAE confidence. Like, hey, we are able to do events. We are able actually to get confidence from industries. And from here, we can build further on. And yeah, last weeks we saw a couple of shows, and our industry had our own event, the UFI, and yeah, I guess you still feel pity you couldn't come from Oman, Ashley, but it was a great event. Everyone very happy to see each other. It was full. It was the whole floor was full at Dubai World Trade Center. And if we are so happy to meet, because that's what we've been saying over the last year. Yeah, we're gonna be strong. Everyone wants to meet. Yeah, that's on one hand that we also wish to see, But now we see it in our own industry. So if all the other industries also want to happy to see each other, then we are in a good position to take off from here. But yeah, Dubai has been busy, and post summer it's gonna be crazy busy for us. I'm starting to really hire people back that we unfortunately had to let go, and also look at new talents to make sure we can deliver.
I mean, bags of excitement and positivity, which is really encouraging to hear, Wilbert. So thank you for that. I think just for everyone, because we've got people connecting from all over the globe, that a lot of people have been in ignorance, and I'm saying this in a polite way. They often think of Dubai as a country. Dubai is part of one of 7 emirates of the United Arab Emirates, and the capital being Abu Dhabi. And Graham obviously heads up the commercial part for Abu Dhabi National Exhibition Company, Adnec for sure. Graham, you've also had some success this year with large-scale events coming back, where the government's been fundamental in spearheading and facilitating those events. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, please?
Sure. I think Wilbert, he mentioned it there in terms of our return to live events. Abu Dhabi was in February with IDEX, which is a flagship international defence exhibition and conference. Very large event, takes over the entire year, and obviously is very important to the Emirate of Abu Dhabi. And we were very keen to ensure we made the environment and the safe and secure and comfortable for all of the exhibitors and visitors to come and do something productive. And through great communication in advance, in the run-up to the show, and with all the teams working, 24/7 to make that happen, we were very pleased to have an event that ultimately was very similar footprint to its previous edition from 2020. The feedback to those people who made the trip to Abu Dhabi was very, very positive. And in fact, they thanked us immensely for taking the steps to put the event on behalf of their industry. And interestingly, I've heard comment already with regards to other shows that sit within that sector that now feel or are getting sort of pressure, positive pressure from that sector to put other events on the world. The fact that Abu Dhabi, Dubai have been able to demonstrate that events can run safely and positively is giving, I hope, other regions around the world and those sectors that represent them the confidence to also push forward with their events, and that's something that we're very pleased of. Since then, we've also run, in the last couple of weeks, we've run another 4 or 5 events, International Book Fair, Emirates Guild, and other events. So whilst we haven't perhaps as many events as Dubai yet, we also have a very, very positive series of events taking place from September onwards. So very busy from September through to the end of December. Large-scale events like CL, Adipec, Adihex, all planning and hopefully looking very positive. So, we're looking at things with a very positive mindset, conscious obviously that things have to always we have to respond very quickly to the changes that are happening all the time with regards to the pandemic as we come out in this recovery phase. But we're very positive that we're taking the right steps and we're building the blocks to a full recovery.
And I mean, you've mentioned some very large events that are going to be taking place later this year, such as Adipec, for their particular vertical market that they operate in, the biggest in the world. So it's fantastic to hear those events coming back this year. Gulsum, Wilbert mentioned some really nice problem, perhaps, as an event organizer to have, saying Gulf Food was too busy. And I mean, as someone that has visited that event, it is an exceptionally busy event. And although I wasn't able to visit, from the photos and what I've heard, it was so busy. What do you think that tells us about the confidence that we should hope for as event organizers? Do you want to talk about that? So people coming back to events that maybe the fears as organizers we had that maybe people wouldn't return as quickly, and maybe they've been dispelled, those thoughts. What's your view on that?
I think as Wilbert touched base about this confidence, how it has started with Dubai World Trade Center. I think it's just starting with the lockdown itself. I think we started planning to how we can really make the physical events to have a comeback in a confident way. That's why like the first event in July has been arranged, though it's a domestic event, is actually the test and all the health and safety procedures that we have been thinking throughout the customer journey. And even then, I think that event, the first ranking of the safety ranking was for about 92%, if I'm not mistaken. And then we have continued to organize fairly larger events, like a regional art show before GITEX. That was 94%, and during GITEX, 96%. And at Gulfood, it came to a result of 98%. People rated the event is safe and very safe. So I think it's just that was a bit of a result of a progressive and consistent approach that Dubai World Trade Center has been applied throughout this journey, as just to have like all the learnings and understanding through the regional and the global audience is actually what is being required for people to feel safe, and then to be able to just make a decision to travel internationally. As has been stated, Gulfood is a different beast in itself. It's a truly global show, and this year even itself, so we had visitors coming still from 162 countries. For about like the total attendance to the show was like more than 59,000, and then 39% of them were international. And also just like surprisingly, 35% of these people coming to the show is just knowing that there will be quarantine back on the way they're home. So that was a very, very, I think, strong community support. You know, I think it's just the trust itself has to be, whilst we're organizing all these in-person physical events, it's just the industries, you know, like sentiment in terms of like coming back together and to do business ever more stronger than ever, because just everybody in the world just facing a very long restrictions in terms of movements, in terms of business, and in terms of situation, like urging them to be able to come back together and to do business again. So all the results of the show in terms of NPS scores, in terms of satisfaction scores, it's really skyrocketed, to be honest, you know. So even though that, okay, so we had maybe like even more people, as Wilbert were saying, and even more exhibitors, though still we got like 2,500 exhibitors coming from 85 countries. So in terms of return on investments, with the exhibitors and visitors is really much, much higher versus last year. So at the end, it's focusing a lot more on the experience side of it, how we can make these people to get the best out of the show. Is all the new regulations is just to give like actually what is happening. Show is coming out and much, much nicely. So we have really like had a lot of targeted audience content plans and programs, which are like, I think we have introduced 6 different new initiatives which were not part of the show before, that have resulted in really like quite a good end result for all of us. So even we went on and we just measure the non-attendees, you know, it was obvious to ask the non-attendees why they didn't come, you know, so that's not the objective of that survey. But we want to understand what it could be like after they have seen the show from their peers or from the media or from, you know, the end results. So 47% said they would have changed their mind and to come back to the event if they would know the result is as such. I think that's a very, very also strong sentiment. Only 25% said they can't move anyways because there's restriction of government or travel isn't there. And only 26% is saying they would have not been changed their mind anyways. So if you're looking from that perspective, I think bringing back the events in a safe and confident manner is just we're gonna give a lot more confidence to the overall global industries, and then eventually in the following events, it will gonna just do much better and better. As Graham has been like mentioning, the Dubai World Trade Center is also having a very busy calendar. After like after Gulfood, there has been several events happening by Trade Center and other event organizer at the moment. So we are finally happy in the office, just seeing the busy halls almost every week. That wasn't the case last year. And then starting by the September and also opening with the Expo, we are looking forward to have a very, very busy second half of the year.
Thanks, Gulsum. I mean, some really great ability to remember facts. So a lot of respect there. Fantastic ability there. And some very powerful and important facts. And, you know, we've spoken a little bit about events almost being too busy historically. And it's great to hear that we've, in the case of golf, that they've got that. One stat that really stood out to me was when you said 35% of people that came to the event will still have to quarantine when they come back. So, Wilbert, I'm going to put it to you, because I think for the exhibition organisers and everyone in our industry, the holy grail is for all exhibitors to achieve and exceed their return on investment. And then there's this long, debate, is it quantity over quality? You know, as much as we'd like to think it's quality over quantity, is that shift now starting to get the attention perhaps it needs? What's your views on that?
I think from data point of view, it's still early to say, because we are not back to normal yet, and it will still take a bit of time. But I think it should have always been quality over quantity, and in the end, that's what creates the satisfaction. It's meaningful conversations, it's leads, and exposure to the right audience. Yeah, we want to hear the buzz, so it needs to be busy. But if you look at how service results come, is first, hey, what's happening at my stand, and what am I getting out of it? It's not transactional based anymore. Right? That was maybe when we started 20 years ago. It was more transaction based. But it's what conversations, what interactions do we have, and that is quality. It's not the brochure grabbers or only the sample takers at Go Food, but it's part of the experience. But no, I think now it's also time that we are not saying in the press release we had 200,000 visitors, and I think we should focus more. Hey, what kind of interactions, what kind of meetings, what kind of media, what kind of buyers came? Who did we have? The movers and shakers in the industries at the floor. And I think the movers and shakers and the fans of the events, they will come, and I think that's fine if we have. I guess moving forward, and what we see now, because we're fortunate that we're active in Australia, where shows are back on, in China and the Middle East, we see around at the moment 40% less visitors across the board, and that is mainly because of the travel restrictions. But there will also be, moving forward, people that still have budget restrictions, people that are more introvert and say, hey, now I discovered Zoom and Teams, and I'm okay not to come. And is that bad? Not necessarily. What I said, I thought Go Food is maybe over busy. Fantastic show, don't get me wrong. but if you would have 20% people less, but you have the quality higher, I think it would be good. And also you know what I discussed before, I presented this, like, yeah, we have this enormous peak, so we work a few weeks to the show, then we have the show, and then you know, actually we discuss about it, then we say see you next year. But we learned the term flatten the curve with COVID, and I think we will see the curve flattening. It's not that peak, it's more the curve. And that is the opportunity, because that's where you have technology, that's where you have the matchmaking programs. If we engage more upfront with people in better ways, with better technology that's available now, AI-powered matchmaking, etc., then we have an opportunity to have virtual elements, to warm people up, have warming up content. And after the show, you have follow-up of the leads. And you might have summaries, you might have pay-on-demand content, or new content that you got out of the surveys that people feel, hey, I want to know more. Well, keep on engaging. Is that 365? I still feel from see you next year to now see you every day, I feel it's still a bridge too far. I see some organizers working on it, and I hope they are successful. But I think if you can already have that engagement span, that attention span widened, and have really quality, meaningful interactions, I think that's a gain. And that is, in the end, what do we do as industry? We bring people together, and buyers, sellers, and everyone else in industries. Well, if we can do that in a better way with new technology in the longer time, have more interactions, we increase the value. I think that's a gain. And yeah, that we then don't have the 200,000 but 150,000 visitors, fine. But we also had maybe 200,000 interactions before and after. But let's focus on that quality. That would be my point.
And I would agree with you. I was just going to say I would agree with that point. From the shows that we've seen here in Abu Dhabi Run, the NPS scores, the feedback year to year, show to show, we've seen that obviously the numbers are lower in these recovery, sort of COVID recovery times. But the net promoter scores and all of the feedback has been very positive, much stronger than in previous editions. And it's very, very clear to us that the visitor and exhibitor experience has been heightened and improved by the quality of the audience and the lowering in the sheer number. And that comes back by the level of deals that were carried out at all of these shows, but also direct feedback from both parties. It's the engagement that they want. They're not just here to collect business cards, and they want engagement. They want time with each other. They want to be able to start to build those relationships. And having an audience that's slightly lower in a lot of these shows seems to benefit. I also appreciate there's a wider economic impact play with the desire for cities to have very big attendances and audiences. They want people on aeroplanes. They want people taking hotels to see that impact. But certainly from the customer and the exhibitor relationship, it seems to be strengthened by having a better quality audience.
Yeah, I'd certainly agree with you. And I mean, the proof in the pudding is going to be, as business terms, I don't want to use the word normality, but I haven't had enough time to think of another one, that we return to normality, our industry, events come back, we have less and less, and at some point, hopefully no restrictions. Are we going to be focusing back on the numbers and not focusing enough on quality? And Wilbert, you kind of alluded to it. It's looking at serving our clients, our audience, who is ultimately our ultimate customer, if you like. Are we going to be serving them on a year-round basis? And I think that the only time will tell how clients, organisers adapt to that. We all talk about hybrid at the moment. The session before this was fantastic, and it went into that in some depth. But no one's approaching it at the same rate. And Wilbert, as you know, with our exhibition think tank group meeting that we had a couple of weeks back, where we talked about that, no one organizer is aligned on the approach. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because there isn't one particular solution that's going to fit every event and every organizer and every vertical and geographical market. And that's perhaps a good thing, is we're adapting it to the audience and the industries we serve. But it'd be interesting to see, are we going to capitalize on that interaction? Because it's exactly what you said, Wilbur. It's bringing people together. Now, it's this mindset that we've looked as digital online as our competitor, when in reality we use online as probably our biggest form of marketing for events, through our website, social media, and so forth. So personally, I think the industry I share in this is starting to embrace that. And Gulsum, you talked about the visitor experience. So if you could talk about what you're doing with the events that you work on in Dubai World Trade Center, both in terms of an in-person experience, but also prior and post-event in a digital capacity as well. Gulsum? No, possibly frozen. Okay, well, if I throw that to either you, gents, that feels brave enough to answer that quite big question in itself, talk about, what kind of experience are being offered by organisers. Gulsum, can you hear me now?
It's probably muted, so Gulsum.
We still can't hear you yet, Gulsum. All right.
Okay, maybe I go first in a bit on quality, and then we can get Gulsum back, and Graham can maybe answer that question, because it's a big question. And when it comes to that quality and interaction and understanding what's happening, we also need to keep in mind, not every show is the same. And you know, I worked for Messe Frankfurt as group show director. One of my shows was Intersec. And there was one year that George Bush was in town, and it was flooding. It was raining cats and dogs, and no visitor could reach the Trade Center on one day. So no visitors on one of the 3 days of a show. And we did focus groups with exhibitors about, hey, future of Intersec, what do you think? And you know what a couple of the exhibitors were saying? The best day of Intersec was a day when there were no visitors because we could talk to each other. Because in security, there's a supply chain from manufacturers to contractors to consultants, etc. So, and government is highly involved. So actually the industry could talk to each other. And they were happy because, yeah, they didn't need to speak to people on their stand, they could speak to each other. And they were happy. But could you imagine a Jitech shopper with no visitors, where HP and Sharaf DG tries to sell laptops and monitors and smartphones, and there's no visitor? Would be the worst day ever. So from that point of view, we also need to understand what is the purpose of an event. How do we bring people together, and then how does the show fit there, and the technology when it comes to matchmaking. Because with matchmaking, yeah, will you sell a laptop at a B2C IT sales festival? Not so much. You want to see it and sell it. So we also need to understand what is the dynamics of the industry, and therefore that quality. And with new technologies, AI matchmaking, etc., we can do that much better.
Yeah. Gulsum, to see if we can hear you now.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Perfect.
I had a bit of technical problem.
No problem. I mean, I think this is more of a reason we all need to get back in person as much as possible. I'm sure we'd all agree with that. Gulsum, if you wouldn't mind just telling us a little bit about the shows that you've already delivered and that you're working towards later in the year or next year, about the visitor experience, but both, what are you doing in a digital capacity as well as in person? What are you doing?
I think it's just there has been a lot of discussions, as like my peers has been mentioning here, is about this virtual online flattening the curve, as Wilbert keep mentioning. I think it's just our greater purpose as organizers is like connecting people is what we do at the end. That doesn't obviously has to be just like only when it comes to the event timing. It has to be like a throughout, because we have all the power of like bringing down or connecting from all the, you know, like parts of the industry, being like the government bodies and trade authorities, is like the leaders, C-suite, everyone, right? So from, if I may give an example of the Gulfwood case, from ministers to all the global powerhouses is being part of the show. So the purpose itself is just a bit of like becoming more of a like the catalyst and the authority of the industry. So just to try to give like a more of a all the opportunity to be able to have that meaningful conversations that can influence the change of the future for any industry, which in case is for us is for the food industry. So perhaps for that, I think we need to do is just anything possible throughout the year, whether it's just as bringing, could be like smaller events running up to the show, creating like a more of a platform for people that can engage, network, discuss, share ideas, papers and everything. So it's a more of a like for us, building up like a more of a community management, but that doesn't have to be at the expense of like replacing the physical experience. So that's why I'm a bit against to talk about hybrid events or like virtual events, because it's been perceived as is a like alternate to the physical events. So as the Dubai World Trade Center, we are 100% is endorsing the physical events. But however, having said that, as I have mentioned, so we are also gearing up ourselves to be prepared with full-fledged and all the technology, and the possibility in terms of content is being that connection is being there throughout the year with the all industry. You know, I think that is what we are like being prepared ourselves, and also just the transformation of the physical events has to continue, as Wilbert has mentioned, and Graham has also just added through. Some of the things is like eventually was part of the planning because of the social distancing and also like the travel situation and so on. But at the end, it just had a more opportunities and positive impact because people had to have like more time and space to be able to see what they're really looking for and just to meet up for. So then the overall NPS and the experiences just got better. So moving forward for the physical events is also just more of arranging, more of a need-based, you know, so need-based per the smaller audiences is just as an analysis of like who's like your event attendees and then what you're targeting and how you can take up and just really making them a more of a small buys and how you can address their needs with a different solutions throughout the event. If like Galfood is a 5-day event, is a full-fledged and it's very busy, and for someone to be lost and not be able to find out throughout the event is really really the problem. So that's why like just the moving forward is just how we can overcome and to be able to give what a chef is really need at the show is like a trader need at the show vis-a-vis like a service provider need at the show would be different. So we are looking is just to build solutions audience measure core needs.
I mean, and this is certainly coming out this morning's discussion is really all of us as organisers, venues and suppliers is having a deep dive, understanding what each event requires, what is the purpose of it and how can we meet those needs. And we've, events industry, we've done a good job of that, but, talking about COVID, the impact of it, we've talked about it, our industry, the devastation's laid bare for us all to see, but to turn a negative on its head and look at the positives, Graham, what do you feel some of the positives in terms of the legacy of COVID will be on the exhibition industry?
Well, I think, straight off the bat, I think the demonstration of how much we've missed live events is very, very clear. And I think that's something that will give us a positive rebound when we are able to, go back to, as you said, I don't like the term business as normal, but certainly come out of this process where travel is much more freely accessible. I think what we are doing, this is something that I've thoroughly enjoyed over the last 15 months. I haven't enjoyed many of the other aspects, but as a community, we've got together much more on an online sort of presence. We've engaged with online tools much more readily, as much because it's a necessity just to keep the community together, but we enjoy that opportunity to get together. Equally, we enjoy the face-to-face, and I think we talked about the Middle East UFI conference that took place last week. Wilbert, without Ashley, unfortunately, couldn't get over, but I've been to many of those conferences, and I would say by far this was the most heavily attended, probably twice as large as it's ever been. And I think that's a clear demonstration of us as industry professionals wanting to get together. And with all the tools that we have used over the last 15 months, I hope that we will take all the positive values that we found from those and combine it where it's necessary with the live face-to-face. And I think that's what we're very good at. I'm not going to, as any organisers, they should use. I think they'll know their shows much better than I. And I think equally, as Wilbert has said, it's not a one-size-fits-all scenario here. Certain shows will use much more of the hybrid tool than other shows. Certain shows rely very much on the face-to-face based on what sector they're providing. So I think what we will do is hopefully we will come out of this positively, because there is a real desire to come back together. There is a real benefit. I sat through a number of the sessions at the Middle East UFI conference, and I'll put my hand up and also say I spent as much time in the coffee area, networking and catching up with clients, with industry colleagues, and to me that was as valuable as the content. We've had content in abundance, free content in abundance over the last 15 months, and it's hugely useful to our businesses, but it cannot replace the desire to meet somebody and build a relationship and interact with them in a business and a personal.
Yeah, it's something you said, and Wilbert's alluded to it as well, is this opportunity that as an industry, we're all about bringing people together and learning, and furthering ourselves in our respective fields. We haven't done a brilliant job of that. There are certainly pockets, especially some of the associations, UFI, AEO back in the UK, that have been very good at facilitating that. But certainly that is a distinct positive of the impact of COVID on our industry, that it's brought peer-to-peer networking and learning a lot more to the forefront, and I'm sure that that is here to stay. And it was, hearing it, all the positive stories and seeing on social media that all those lucky people that were able to attend the UFI and MIA conference in person, I was very, very jealous and very envious of them. But it was really encouraging, and it wasn't just everyone getting there to have a good time. It was there to discuss difficult topics and challenge the kind of status quo, and to kind of move our industry on, that we're learning as an industry. And Wilbert,
and I think I mean, listening to the panels at the conference as well, and Wilbert touched on it there certainly isn't agreement. There isn't a 100% agreement between organisers as to what the right process is, and each has its different opinion. But I think what is agreed is that there is a desire to make sure that they broaden wherever possible the engagement with their audiences. So if you can't be a face-to-face audience member, you still have the option to engage on other platforms. And also that engagement is not, as Wilbert said, is not just based around the 2 to 3 to 4 days of the event. That there's a greater level of engagement within the communities that you're creating and that you're serving.
And what I hear from our clients a lot is that in the digital engagement, they see new people that haven't come to the physical event. So I wonder if we, through the digital experiences, then get the people more hungry to come to the real events. So I guess it's too early to see what's happening. Maybe, Gulsum, you could see at Gulf Food people coming from your webinars before, but that could be also a positive part of this, that, hey, people that are, maybe it's a step too far to go to the real events, maybe especially for internationals, you need to take flight, take time out. But hey, if you feel like this is all the content that I can get, now I want to see the real thing, that could add a new let's say stream of visitors, attendees.
There's new audience opportunity. Yeah.
There is. I mean, because, whether it's people say pre-register to on-site conversion, 50%, 80%, whatever it is, there is a large proportion of audiences that we invest heavily in marketing to entice them to come to our events, that they've clearly shown potential need. There is a reason that they wanted to come, that they've registered for the event, and we need to better service those communities, because it's not just an opportunity to interact with our audience, but from a commercial point of view, it's a further way that we could commercialize our industry and remain engaged with our audience over a year-round basis. And for us to truly do that, I think we're some way off. There are some really good examples where event organizers in particular events have been really inventive, and you can see their intention is to retain the virtual aspect and to combine that with the in-person. Our industry, it's about bringing people together foremost in person. But I think if we can benefit from interacting with people on a year-round basis, we're all going to win. Us as organisers, suppliers in the industry, as well as the communities we serve. Gulsum, we mentioned briefly earlier about the Dubai Expo, which is I haven't been to the site. I've seen the plans. I've seen lots of videos and images, and it looks phenomenal. How important do you think that is, not only to the Middle East, given that that is an event that spans October for 6 months, starting in October? How important is that not only to the Middle East, but the global events industry, seeing an event of that size happening this year?
I think that first of all, I mean, it's just like what is being prepared and what is being built. It's an incredible, it's an incredible outcome. It's just how it is looking and on site, and then I think it will be a fantastic experience. Whoever would be able to make it, it's just, I hope, since it will gonna run for about 6 months, I hope many people is just looking forward, can be able to make it and just come to see what is being really done. It's just as a bit of also embracing what has come up in the future, right? It's a more of a future forward thinking. It's been up there. It's just as a demonstration of preparing ourselves for the future. I think it's just as you said, it's nothing to do with Middle East from a global perspective. It's like all the pavilions, all the global pavilions has been like coming, and it's just demonstrating is just their future thinking. It's a great bond of connecting global minds at Expo. So that's what is being aimed for, and it's much, as you said, is beyond Middle East. So what it will reveal itself. I think that will have a very much positive outcome throughout, any industry, not only just as business events, but any live events and throughout the world. So it will be I think it's just also a quite good initiative in terms of demonstrating the recovery of people coming together, connecting together, and to be able to travel again and to sit down, to do business, to have some live experience and a real experience. We all just looking forward to it, to be honest.
Excellent, excellent. I'm going to ask a question to all of you. A big question, answer it however you feel. And none of us can read the future. I don't believe we can. But how do you feel, if you do, the exhibition industry as it returns, do you feel it's changed? And if so, how do you feel it's changed? Anyone want to answer that?
Well, yeah, I'll jump in first just so I can give my panelists a bit of breathing space to think something up. Well, look, I think, of course, things have changed. We've gone through, certainly in the 25 years I've been in this industry, I don't think we've ever had such a challenging period of time for our industry. We've seen, we'll come out of this with, I think, a huge amount of learning. I think we'll be leaner and more streamlined in our businesses. I think we realise one thing that's going to be very clear is we're going to have to really rethink the proposition for our events and for our visitors. We've got to really put forward a propelling case as to why people are going to, certainly from the international aspect, why people are going to get on planes, get out of their offices and come and travel around the world to events. We've got to ensure that the proposition we're putting forward is propelling. It's got to pay dividends. I think it's going to be harder for people to justify some of the trips and some of the excursions they've had in the past. So I think the offer has to be much slicker. I think as businesses, we need to be more nimble, and we need to offer a wider range of services to support these changes and these adaptations. But I think some of the things will be core. They'll be the same as they've always been. We need to work together as a community, the venues, the organisers, the contracting partners. We need to make sure that we as an industry do everything to make ourselves stand out against all of the other options businesses have in their marketing mix. And so I think some of the things will be the same. One thing I see, and I'm going to throw it in, it's personal to Adnec, but I think if it's personal to us, it'll probably be showing itself in lots of other regions as people come out of this recovery phase. We're seeing a huge desire, certainly in 2022, for people to come back to the market. And I'm talking about launching shows as well. So that to me is a key barometer. We have shows that have taken a period out because of necessity, because their events cannot take place. They're established year-on-year shows. They are coming back, but also what we're seeing is launch shows back. We're seeing people really see the need to develop, and also some new shows coming into the marketplace, given some of the opportunities that the pandemic has given. So I see some real rays of light. I know it's still going to be challenging. It's challenging running events at the minute. It's going to stay challenging for some period of time yet. But what I can see is some real positive rays of light in the industry.
Yeah, again, some real positivity, Graham. Gulsum, go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to add a couple of few points also what Graham has already mentioned. I think the agility and the adaptability has been phenomenal. It's not been the case, maybe not that fast paced, but it just happened over this course of time period in the exhibition industry. So that has been phenomenal. has been shown a lot of resilience. It's like such a huge disruption and a big impact to our businesses. Obviously, all of us has been really like change what we have been doing and offering and the services and the structure, as Graham mentioned, streamline and become much more lean, but the increased outputs and so on and so forth. But I also want to add that I think we also learn to share and connect more among each other. So I think that wasn't the case maybe that much, because we all understand is actually for the sake of the industry is the sharing and the learning from each other and to support each other to be able to make the industry is becoming more stronger and coming back in a like a much more bigger opportunity for everyone. So I think that learning and sharing has to continue, because just what is working, what's not working might be, of course, in each region and each industry or each organizer might have their own internal decision making and like different governments and the situations. But however, having said that, it's just still it's a very greater importance of the sharing and learning. It's just not really being going through the same thing and over in silos. Doesn't make sense. That is somewhat is like I feel is quite positive. So we were able to share what's been achieved and immediately with the rest of the extended, you know, like partners throughout the world, and then just to see also like all the events are coming back one by one. So it's just make all of us happy. I think that was important.
Brilliant. Wilbert, and what's your view?
I think the autopilot is off, if at all we had autopilots. I guess we went a bit in a crash landing, and now we're gearing up the plane to take off. So we have been taken off, luckily, in Dubai. But we also need to look at where are we going with this plane? What kind of fuel do we put in? I hope more sustainable fuel. And can we get the millennials on board? And can we get our industry future-proof? That also means, are we looking at shareholders? Do we still want to have 30% net profits and don't invest? I think we need to invest in sustainability. We need to invest in technology to make millennials ready to come to shows when they get into management positions. So I think this is, from that point of view, good. We need to look at the future. That's, you know, why we are in the exhibition think tank. And that's, we need to keep those conversations going and look at the future and, yeah, make it more sustainable.
Some really nice points, really nice and important, and some nice analogies from you just there, Wilbert. Jack, I'll hand it back over to you.
Yeah, panel, what can I say in terms of some of the content that's just been discussed there? I've just been sat here just listening to it in the green room, and just so many takeaways. I'm fortunate I keep in regular contact with some of my industry peers across in Dubai, and you know, all that discussion you've just been having there about the Dubai Expo and the excitement that's sort of being generated at the minute is definitely something that I'm getting back from the people working on the ground as well. You know, so that's a really good one. And I just took some takeaways from when I was listening to you in terms of some of the comments. And the first one that I put down, which was something that's really heartfelt with me, Wilbert, is when you talked about the quality over the quantity. And I remember when we were first entering into this period of difficulty, shall we say. And at one of the final shows I was at, I actually explored with some of my clients how they felt the event had gone, with reduced numbers, with people not turning up. And one of the biggest things they said was, my staff have had more time with the right people. They've been able to spend more time with the quality, because quality has still come.
Yeah.
The people who had just come in for a look and to take photos had made the decision not to come. And I think that's the strength that we've got to take away with us. As event organizers, we're storytellers. We have to tell the story in terms of what the expectation is for both our clients and for the visitors. And that honesty has to be shared. And I think if we can be sharing that there is a demand for people to come, to interact, and the quality of those people are going to be the ones that people want to interact with, I think the demand will remain high. But the other bit that I put down was, what is the legacy of our events going to be? And I think now more than ever, that legacy, that length of time that a 3-day event will now become a 12-month event because of the before and the after interaction that technology is now allowing us, I really do strengthen us. You know, it really does give us more opportunity to develop our offer. So yeah, some fantastic content in terms of share. And I have to, Ashley, you mentioned it to begin with. Gulsum, your attention for it just blows me away. I'm sat here with so many bits of paper in front of me. Those retentions is a skill in itself.
It's an engineer habit. I'm originally an engineer, so I think that's why it's just like quite analytic.
Look, I just wanted to say on behalf of everyone associated with the event, I thank you all for giving up your time, for giving up your experience and sharing it with others. It's great to see how things are evolving in different areas of the world, which is what this event is showcasing. We are a community that learns from each other, and I think that will continue. So I do appreciate all of your time, and hope you enjoy some of the other content that's going to continue until Doug finishes his final run.
Thanks, Jack, and thanks to everyone.
Good luck.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Right then, everyone, I'm going to see whether our trusted runner is available. I can see him in the green room again, so we will bring him on screen, see how that final run went.
Jack, how you doing?
So, Doug, how was that morning cup of coffee? I see that you've got another one.
It's a nice cup of green tea. So,
man after my own heart. Yeah,
well,
definitely a green tea drinker.
Yeah. Well, I changed paces and they made me go quicker in that one.
Is that just to re-energize you?
I don't know. I think they're just trying to kill me off, you know. So,
but as you said it the last time, we're now on the home straight, so to speak.
Yeah,
you know, we're in single digits. You've got some great people joining you over the next few runs. Who do you have with you for your next one? Because I know we're going to have a little bit of a break between now and when Dan comes on. Dan's going to be joining us at about 10 to 11 UK time. I think he comes back on. So you've got a couple of runs between now and then.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got Alan and Dom. Yeah, he's going back again. I mean, he's going out. This is his fifth one.
He just enjoys the run. I'm sure he must have been involved in setting the course.
Yeah, well, he has the benefit of being really young, unlike me.
Well, don't worry. As long as you've got some young ones for the final couple to just get you that final hurdle through.
Absolutely.
Look, we were meant to have the IMEX running team joining us. I'm searching through the green room and can't see them at the minute. I'm sure they will be there in spirit and out on their run. If they do join us, we can always make credit to them when they come in a bit. And in terms of your next session in an hour's time, who's joining you in an hour's time, Doug? Because obviously that's not going to be live on air.
Yeah. So at 9 o'clock, I've got Barney, who is he's one of our team on our education show in Dubai.
Fantastic.
And then Melanie, who's our UK finance director, is joining me at 10.
Right. Well, by that time, Dan will be on, and we'll see Melanie in person, hopefully. And as I say, what I've been fortunate to been sat in the background is I've been seeing some of the content and the photos that your team have been sharing in terms of you setting out, and the camaraderie that's been formed with the individuals that have been joining you. So that's going to be available after the event. I'm sure Rachel will be sharing that, and people will see the effort that's gone into this, not just by yourself, but from the peers that have been joining you.
No, it's absolutely amazing, Jack, and thank you for everything that you've done. And I would just say that when Dan comes on at 10 to 11, we've got a special guest coming on who's not on the schedule. So we've got one of the top ultra runners in the world coming on to chat for 10 minutes. So a guy called Paul Giblin. So he's just going to come on and chat to us before the session starts. So a nice little celebrity introduction just before Dan kicks off.
It just shows what the event is meaning to a lot more people, Doug. You know, in terms of the work that you and the team have done, people are wanting to engage because they can see the value of what we're trying to do. So
yeah, absolutely.
I will let you and the team get off on that nice little saunter around. I'm saying saunter as I'm sat here on my chair, ready to go and get a little bit of breakfast. But yeah, all the best. I will see you and keep a track of what's going on throughout the day, and join you for the final hour and see you finish.
Great. Thank you very much, Jack. Really appreciate it.
Take care, Doug.
Cheers. Bye.